own John Breach and Ryan Wilson for more. Guys, great to see you. Ryan, let's go ahead and begin with the name you're watching this preseason for the Lions.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker, and we saw a little bit of him last night in the second half. As you pointed out, Jordan, it didn't exactly go according to plan, at least the Dan Campbell plan early on. A ton of turnovers, 2K from Kyle Allen, the quarterback who started that game. No Jared Goff, no surprise there. One interception late for Hendon Hooker, but he's the former third-round pick who tore his ACL late in the season for Tennessee. He had a chance to be a top 50 guy had he stayed healthy because he did some really good things for Tennessee down the stretch. He just has been getting healthy, number one, and number two, he's behind Jared Goff in what has been an incredibly explosive offense. So if he can show something this preseason, he's not going to supplant Jared Goff, but he can be the solid number two. Or it could be a situation where maybe he looks to get moved or the Lions look to move him. He goes somewhere else, will have an opportunity to start because, as we know, there's always a need for quarterbacks in the NFL. Hendon had it coming out, barring that injury. Need to see more flashes from him in the preseason to see what that means for his NFL future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be keeping my eye on Hendon Hooker, and I will also be keeping my eye on Tate Ratledge, their rookie offensive lineman. If you look at what the Detroit Lions did last season, one reason they were so successful on the offensive side of the ball is because of their offensive line. But they lost a guard, Kevin Zeitler. We saw Frank Ragnow retire, which was just a huge loss. So now you have Ratledge coming in here. He did not play in the Hall of Fame game, but I'm sure we will see plenty of him over the final 3 games that the Lions will play this preseason. Ratledge could be a guard or center. The Lions have a little bit of time to figure this out. I think that is the interesting part to see where he fits in because they're going to need him to be successful if this Lions offense isn't going to lose a beat from where they were last season. And then they also have Christian Mahogany, who will be trying to break in the offensive line at guard. So there are 2 offensive linemen. They're trying to break in. If they struggle, the Lions offense could struggle. So those will be 2 guys to watch for the rest of the preseason.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as both of you guys. Got to keep in mind last night as well was the first for new offensive coordinator John Moran. So we'll hope that the Lions find some more consistency on offense as the preseason continues here. Let's get to the Packers now. And spoiler alert, you both have the same answer. And I think that rookie receiver Matthew Golden is who all Packers fans are really looking to watch this preseason. But John, what specifically do you want to see from him?
Well, it's not even just Matthew Golden. It's how does he fit into the Packers offense. We're talking about a team that has not used a first-round draft pick on a wide receiver since 2002. So when you're going more than 2 decades without using a first-round pick on that position, that automatically puts some pressure on Matthew Golden to be successful. And you look at what this team had last season. They had a solid group of receivers, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, but none of those guys really emerged as kind of a true number 1 guy. None of them went over 900 yards receiving. We had Josh Jacobs back in February complaining about the fact that the team didn't have a true number 1 receiver. When guys on your own team are complaining, that puts pressure on the front office to kind of step up and get someone, and that pressure is going to go on Gold now because he's going to have to perform. So we're going to see what kind of chemistry he builds with Jordan Love, and so that will certainly be the thing that the Packers fans, that everyone in the NFC North, if the Packers will be good this year, Matthew Golden will be a big part of that.
John, you mentioned 2002. Javon Walker was the last first-round pick of the Green Bay Packers, probably much to Aaron Rodgers' chagrin because it felt like he was always looking for that next first-rounder that never arrived for him. That is now Jordan Love's the beneficiary of that because, as John noted, all those young wide receivers on the depth chart were second-round or later guys, all flash potential to be the number 1, but it never got to that point. And Robert Golden is a great test case for someone who 12 months ago wasn't really on a lot of NFL draft guy radars because he had just transferred from Houston. He was a track guy. He was probably going to be wide receiver 2, 3, or 4, depending on how things panned out at Texas. And all he did was ended up being the best offensive player on that team. He was great start to finish. He did a lot of things for Quinn Ewers that made Quinn Ewers' life easier, and he parlayed that into being a first-round pick. And the buzz so far through training camp has been exceptional. I think he's exceeding expectations, Jordan. He feels like a true number 1, and if you can get him involved early, along with all the other playmakers John just talked about, this offense should be ready to go because they have the quarterback situation settled. The offensive line should be pretty good. Now you get that number 1 wide receiver there with all those other young playmakers, and now you talk about another playoff push and making a deep playoff run this time around.
We'll see if all of that can translate come game time. Let's check in now with the Minnesota Vikings. I feel like there could be a few options here, but quarterback J.J. McCarthy is top of your list, Ryan, and for good reason.
Yeah, I think he is under more pressure than Sam Darnold is, who balled out last year and won 15 games, is now the quarterback in Seattle, just because we don't know what J.J. McCarthy is going to look like as an NFL quarterback. Played one preseason game last year. I remember watching that preseason game and talking about it with our buddy Rick Spielman on the podcast, and we were both incredibly impressed, but then the knee injury sidelined him for the rest of his rookie season. So it is great that he had an opportunity to sit and learn without the pressure of having to play on day one, but now the pressure's on, and it is on in a big way. This team didn't win 2 games last year. They won 15 games last year. Kevin O'Connell is known as the quarterback whisperer. He's going to have to earn that this time around. And the other thing I come back to, guys, is that for as fun a person and great personality as J.J. McCarthy is, and a potentially great leader, he was not asked to do a lot at Michigan the year they won the national title. Not entirely his fault. He was surrounded by great players, but now he's going to be put in situations where he's going to have to win games for the Vikings, and the question is, can he do it? So I want to see what that looks like, and you know, we'll all find out together. I wish him the best, but it's going to be tough sledding, not only for J.J., but for any young quarterback making his first go-round as the guy atop the depth chart.
Yeah, and Wilson, you mentioned the tough sledding for J.J. McCarthy. One reason it's going to be tough sledding is he's going to have a totally new offensive line in front of him. The Vikings revamped everything, and if the new offensive line doesn't hold up, J.J. McCarthy's not going to have much success no matter what happens. So you look at what Minnesota did this offseason on the offensive line. They went out and signed Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, and then they drafted Donovan Jackson with their first-round pick. So that's your whole interior offensive line are all going to be first-time starters in Minnesota at right guard, at center, at left guard. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on them to succeed, because if they don't, J.J. McCarthy is going to have a rough initial year as a starter. And I'm sure we will see them in the preseason, because there's no way Kevin O'Connell is going to let J.J. McCarthy play snaps without the first-team offensive line out there. So there is going to be a lot of pressure on that O-line to gel quickly. And 2 of those guys, Fries and Kelly, both came from Indianapolis, former Colts offensive linemen. Well, usually teams don't let talented offensive linemen walk away, so it will be interesting to see if those guys are playing with a chip on their shoulder, because they did both leave Indy. So those guys, that unit is going to have to gel quickly if the Vikings offense is going to be successful.
That's a great point, John. Lastly, let's check in with Chicago. Naturally, John, quarterback Caleb Williams will be catching all of our eyes, and how he really operates with new head coach Ben Johnson. High expectations for him to possibly have a breakout season. We'll wait and see, but in order for that to happen, what development do you need to see come the preseason?
Well, the interesting thing about Caleb Williams is that earlier this offseason, we saw those comments that came out that he was basically complaining about the coaching staff that was here last year, and he didn't really think they were qualified enough to kind of help him move forward and become a good NFL quarterback. Well, now he has a very smart offensive mind running the show in Ben Johnson. So really what I need to see is, how well does he grasp Ben Johnson's offense? How well can he run it? Can he run it as successfully as Jared Goff did in Detroit? And I think what Ben Johnson has been trying to do is kind of build the Detroit Lions in Chicago. He beefed up the offensive line, and the line was a big reason why Detroit was so successful. You got a strong running game. You got a couple good receivers there, and DJ Moore and Roma Dunze. So now it's kind of up to Caleb Williams to make this all move forward. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles playing in this offense the first time. So if he gets out there in the preseason, looks good, Bears fans won't be worried. But if he goes out there and struggles, it could be a long year for the Bears.
Yeah, I think the arrow's pointing up for the reasons you point out. Look, you don't want your quarterback, rookie or otherwise, calling out the OC and the head coach. The OC lasted 6 weeks. The head coach got fired after the season. But, John, you mentioned Roma Dunze. You mentioned DJ Moore. They also drafted Luther Burden III in the second round to make that offense even more explosive. But I'm going to go with their first-round pick, tight end Coulson Lovelin out of Michigan, who was a big part of J.J. McCarthy's success 2 years prior. And we talked to him at the Combine. He had his arm in a sling, but he has been all systems go since being cleared to play. He is big. He is long. He is fast. His teammates have applauded his ability to block. He didn't have to do a ton of that at Michigan, but when he did, he was really good at it. You can line him up anywhere. And you talk all the time about that offensive line being a young quarterback's best friend, especially in relation to the Vikings. In addition to that, a tight end in the middle of the field that always gets open can be a young quarterback's best friend. I think Caleb is going to have a rocket ship type season, maybe something a lot of us thought he would have last year. Ben Johnson, check. All the offensive playmakers, check. I think the offensive line is going to be a little bit better as well. So I think Coulson Lovelin's going to be a big part of that success. But it all starts with Caleb and Ben Johnson. And I feel pretty good about the Bears. Certainly much better than I did in recent years.
All right, well, that's good to know. Some high expectations coming from you, Ryan Wilson. Great stuff as always, you guys. Those Bears will kick off their preseason Sunday, August 10th against the Miami Dolphins. As you see there, some of the other upcoming preseason games for those NFC North teams. The Lions will take on the Falcons in Atlanta August the 8th. 7 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. We'll see the Texans and Vikings August 9th, and the Jets and Packers. Quick break for us here on CBS Sports Network. When we return, Damian Harris and Emory Hunt join us for some realistic expectations for these NFC North teams. At what stage of next season will they be eliminated, and could one go all the way to the Super Bowl? Back here.
Skull Nation, Victor here with another massive update for you guys. Christian Wilkins just got released by the Raiders, and guess who's emerging as the front runner to land him? Our Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, this is real. Let's talk about why this move actually makes so much sense. So here's the quick breakdown. The Raiders signed Christian Wilkins just a few months ago. 4 years, $110 million with over $35 million guaranteed. Then out of nowhere, they cut him. The official reason? Failure to adhere to rehab protocols. But it gets weirder. Apparently during a team meeting, Wilkins kissed a teammate on the head, and that teammate went to HR. Now, I'm not here to play TMZ, but clearly things broke down fast in Vegas. Look, I get it. Injury concerns are real. He had foot surgery this offseason after going down late in 2024. But according to people close to his camp, he's already out of the walking boot and training again. They expect him to be cleared by late August and ready for week 1 if he lands with the team soon. That's more than enough time for him to come in, learn the system, and be ready to go. Let's connect the dots here. Brian Flores, our DC, and was Wilkins' head coach in Miami for part of his early career. The Vikings already tried to sign him in 2024 during free agency. Our defensive line is deep, but not dominant yet. Adding Wilkins would be a total game changer in the trenches. Flores even commented today when asked about Wilkins. We're always looking to improve our room. He's a great player. That's not coach speak. That's a door left wide open. Let's talk production, not just potential. In 2023, Wilkins had 9 sacks, 16 QB hits, and 61 tackles. As a defensive tackle, he's one of the best run stuffers in the league. Dude's a wall in the middle. Over the last 3 seasons, he's averaged 60 plus tackles a year. Crazy for an interior lineman. And let's not forget, this guy's only 29. He's still in his prime. Now, because of the whole Raiders drama, Wilkins isn't going to get another $110 million deal right away, but that's good for us. It means we could sign him on a short-term, incentive-heavy deal. Something like 1 or 2 years, prove-it style. He gets to reset his market. We get an elite DT. Everybody wins. So I gotta ask you, Vikings fans, would you take the risk on Christian Wilkins? Do you think Brian Flores can bring the best out of him again? And if we do sign him, are we looking at a top 5 defense in the league? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get that skull energy in here. Hit like if you're hyped about this rumor, and don't forget to subscribe to Report Vikings. This could move fast, and you don't want to miss the updates. To me, this is the kind of move that championship teams make. Aggressive, smart, familiar fit, and it fills a real need. We've got the coach, we've got the locker room. Now let's go get the beast in the trenches and bring Christian Wilkins to Minnesota. Skull.